And welcome to week 4. This week you're going to have an interesting take on your case analyses. This week you're going to be looking at a couple, Daryl and Samar, and you're going to help them to fight fairly. Now, typically what is difficult for counselors in training is to sit across from one person and use your micro skills and keep in mind to pay attention to the nonverbals. And now, of course, in this class, the added layer is making sure that you are attentive to and aware of the cultural components. Well, imagine doing that with more than one person in the room. And so we're going to think about this couple, the issues that they are presenting with, and also even the cultural identity of the counselor, because all of these things come together and really influence and inform the counseling session. I'm also very much looking forward to grading your week 3 assignments this week, and so look forward to that feedback from me. I forgot, I was neglectful to wish you all a happy Labor Day. We have a holiday on Monday, so happy Labor Day. And in a lot of your journal entries, I really appreciate your honesty as you reflected upon your biases. And on some of them, I mentioned, implicit bias, implicit association. This week, I feel like I'm giving you a lot of resources in the classroom, and so I'm going to hold off from sending you the implicit association test, but definitely look forward to that in the next coming weeks. And because it's very important for us to get in touch with our own biases, not that they make us bad people. It's just important to be aware of what is our knee-jerk reaction when we see something or when we hear something, and how is it, especially in this profession, how can we inform ourselves to think differently about that very same issue, especially as you recognize that everyone has a story. Everyone has a story. So when I was in my master's program, and it's a little bit apropos to talk about this right now because we're hearing about Hurricane Dorian, and I do hope that many of you who may live in that area of the country are safe and that you take your safety into consideration. To me, that's the most. Safety and family are extremely important. And so always put your safety first. But when I was in my master's program, this is when Hurricane Katrina hit, and many people might remember Hurricane Katrina and what that exposed, both in terms of how we as a nation respond to crises and just in terms of some of the infrastructure of the city of New Orleans. Well, in my master's program, we were listening to an NPR interview of these people who were speaking about conditions in New Orleans. Now, I've never been to New Orleans, but based on the interviewee, what he was explaining was, I think that in New Orleans there is a bridge that takes people who are in the lower socioeconomic areas to higher ground. And so this bridge consequently also connects the lower socioeconomic statuses to a very much more affluent neighborhood. And here were people who were trapped because of the hurricane, and they were trying to leave the lower ground that was flooding to the higher ground. And they were met on the bridge by the sheriff, who was holding a gun and told them to turn around and go back to where they came from. Now, we were all in the class, many of us, my classmates, myself, we were all very livid because, that's very unfair of the sheriff to do that. And my instructor asked us, could you counsel, one of these people who was turned away on the bridge? And we were all up in arms. We were like, yes, of course, social justice, that's unfair. And then my professor says, could you counsel the sheriff? Could you be the one to sit across from the individual who is holding the gun, telling people to turn around and go back into danger because he did not want them in their neighborhood? And you could have heard a pin drop in the room. And so as you think about your biases, and some of you even said you can't identify a bias within yourself, and to that I really encourage you to think, a little bit more deeply about yourself and some of the things that really get under your skin. But as you think about your biases, and it's okay to have them because we're all human, wonder and challenge yourself, what if this very thing was sitting across from me in a counseling session, asking for validation, asking for confidentiality, asking for compassion and empathy? How would I respond? So that's how we try to think about our biases. That's how we try to remember that every person has a story. Good luck this week. Oh, also in the classroom this week, I have included the gingerbread person. Your TED Talks this week will talk about gender and expression and identity. And for self-care, I enjoy laughter, and so I've also included a Wanda Sykes stand-up. It's not very long. It's a little clip of her stand-up as she compares coming out as gay to coming out as Black. Let me know if you have any questions this week. Take care.